Fear is one of the oldest and most powerful emotions in the human mind. It has been with us since the beginning of time, an ancient guardian built deep into our biology, designed to keep us alive. But fear is not just a reaction to danger. It's a story written by your brain, a symphony of chemicals, memories, and instincts that shape how you see the world. Sometimes it saves you, sometimes it traps you, and sometimes it lies to you. Every creature on Earth knows fear in some form. It's not just a human experience. Even a small animal, like a mouse or a bird, will freeze when it senses a predator nearby. That stillness, the moment when the body locks up, the breath stops, and every muscle goes silent, isn't weakness. It's a survival tactic. It's the brain's way of buying time, of hiding from the threat by becoming invisible. Humans do the same thing, though we often don't realize it. We freeze before we act. Our hearts race, our minds go blank, and in that instant the world narrows to a single thought: survive. Inside your brain, fear begins in a small almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. It's part of the limbic system, the emotional center that reacts before you even have time to think. The amygdala doesn't care about logic or reason. It doesn't ask, is this danger real? It only asks, have I seen this before? And could it hurt me? When it senses threat, it hits the alarm, sending signals through your entire nervous system. Your pupils widen, your heart pounds, your muscles tense. Adrenaline floods your body, preparing you for one of three ancient responses: fight, flight, or freeze. Each of those reactions serves a purpose. To fight means to face the danger head-on, to protect yourself or others. To flee means to escape, to run, to hide, to survive another day. And to freeze means to wait, to blend in, to gather information before acting. None of these responses are choices in the moment. They're automatic programs written by millions of years of evolution. Your conscious mind doesn't get to vote. By the time you realize you're afraid, your body has already decided what to do. But fear isn't only physical, it's deeply psychological. Our brains can trigger the same survival system in situations that have nothing to do with life or death. A public speech, a job interview, a breakup. Even a simple text message that starts with, "We need to talk." The amygdala doesn't know the difference between a tiger and rejection. It reacts the same way. That's why your palms sweat, your voice shakes, your thoughts scatter. You're not in danger, but your body believes you are. Over time, our minds have evolved not just to fear predators, but to fear pain in all its forms: physical, emotional, and social. The fear of being hurt, humiliated, abandoned, or forgotten can activate the same brain circuits that once protected us from wild animals. To the ancient parts of your brain, losing status in a social group is as dangerous as being left alone in the wilderness. That's why criticism, embarrassment, or failure can feel like death. The brain interprets rejection as exile. It sounds primitive, but that's exactly how evolution designed it, to keep us connected, accepted, and safe. However, fear has a paradoxical nature. The same emotion that protects us can also imprison us. When fear becomes chronic, when it lives in our minds long after the danger has passed, it begins to rewrite our behavior. We start avoiding situations, people, or opportunities that might trigger discomfort. The fear of failure stops us from trying. The fear of loss stops us from loving. The fear of judgment stops us from being ourselves. What began as a survival mechanism becomes a cage we build with our own thoughts. Neuroscientists call this fear conditioning. It happens when the brain links a neutral situation with a painful outcome. For example, if you were humiliated once while speaking in front of a crowd, your brain might store that memory as danger. The next time you even think about speaking publicly, your amygdala rings the alarm again. The body reacts as if the humiliation is about to happen all over. Your hands shake, your stomach tightens. You might find an excuse to avoid it entirely. The pattern reinforces itself and fear grows stronger. But here says the fascinating part. The human brain is also capable of something extraordinary called extinction learning. It means that the mind can unlearn fear. Through repeated safe experiences, your brain gradually updates its records. If you face the situation again and nothing bad happens, the amygdala begins to quiet down. The memory of fear doesn't disappear, but the reaction weakens. That's why therapy, exposure training, or even small acts of courage can slowly reprogram your brain. You teach yourself through experience that you are safe. Still, fear doesn't vanish easily. It's stubborn. Sometimes it hides behind logic or excuses. We might say, "I am not ready yet," or "it is not the right time." But beneath those words is often a quiet whisper of fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of being seen. We disguise it because admitting fear feels like weakness, when in truth, it's one of the most universal emotions we have. Every person you admire has felt fear before success, before love, before change. The difference is not that they felt less fear, but that they acted despite it. Interestingly, fear is contagious. Studies show that humans can catch fear just by observing others. If someone near you reacts in panic, your brain mirrors their emotion automatically. It's a built-in social survival mechanism. Our ancestors relied on it to sense danger quickly. That's why group panic can spread faster than reason. It's also why fear-driven media or social networks can shape public behavior so powerfully. When fear is amplified and repeated, it embeds itself deep into collective consciousness. But fear isn't only destructive, it's also informative. It tells us where our edges are, where growth begins. Every time you feel afraid, your brain is signaling that something important is at stake. The fear of speaking up might mean your voice matters. The fear of change might mean you're close to transformation. Fear points toward meaning. It's the emotional compass of your evolution. Ignoring it leads to stagnation. Understanding it leads to freedom. To decode fear, you have to see it not as an enemy, but as a message. The amygdala may shout danger, but another part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, has the power to analyze and interpret that signal. It's the rational observer, the voice that says, "Wait, am I really in danger, or am I reacting to a memory?" Strengthening that awareness is how humans evolved from reacting to reflecting. It's how we move from instinct to intention. Fear still comes, but we learn to meet it with curiosity instead of panic. That is the real secret. Courage isn't to the absence of fear, it is the mastery of it. And that mastery begins not by fighting fear, but by understanding it. Because the more you study what fear truly is, the less control it has over you. Fear, in its most mysterious form, doesn't always come from what's real. Sometimes it's born from imagination, from the stories we tell ourselves about what might happen. The human brain is an incredible prediction machine. It constantly scans for patterns, compares them to memories, and projects possible futures. This is how we anticipate danger before it arrives. But this gift has a dark side. The same imagination that helps us survive can also trap us in anxiety, because the brain can't always distinguish between imagination and reality. When you picture something terrifying vividly enough, your body reacts as though it's happening now. Your pulse quickens, your breathing changes, and adrenaline seeps into your blood. You suffer not from what is, but from what could be. This is why people fear public speaking more than death, why they avoid dreams that require risk, why they hesitate to love deeply. The threat isn't physical, it's psychological. The brain doesn't need a lion in the room, it just needs a vivid image of failure, rejection, or pain. And because imagination is powerful, it can create entire worlds of invisible danger. Many people live their whole lives inside those imagined cages, running from fears that exist only in thought. The irony is that fear as illusion feels so real because it activates the same brain pathways as physical danger. The amygdala lights up, the hypothalamus triggers cortisol, and the body reacts in perfect synchrony. You can be sitting safely in your room, yet your body believes you're in the middle of a storm. This is why worry feels exhausting, because physiologically it is exhausting. Your nervous system doesn't rest when you're anxious. It's fighting battles that never happened. But if fear can be imagined, it can also be reimagined. The same mental machinery that creates panic can be trained to create power. Every time you visualize success instead of failure, calm instead of chaos, you begin to rewrite the neural script. Visualization, meditation, and mindful breathing aren't just spiritual concepts. They're neurological training. They tell the amygdala, you are safe. They teach the brain to pause before reacting. Over time, that pause becomes your greatest weapon. When scientists studied monks and long-term meditators, they discovered something astonishing. These individuals still experienced fear, but their brains recovered from it almost instantly. The amygdala fired, but the prefrontal cortex stepped in quickly, calming the system. The fear didn't disappear, it was mastered. This is the essence of emotional regulation, not eliminating emotion, but building control over the reaction. True strength isn't being fearless, it's being fear-literate. And that literacy comes from awareness. Awareness transforms fear into information. When you pause and observe your fear instead of obeying it, you start to hear its hidden message. Sometimes it says, you're not ready yet. Other times it says, this matters to you. Behind every fear is a value, something important enough to protect. The fear of failure hides the desire for success. The fear of loneliness hides the need for connection. The fear of death hides the love of life itself. Understanding what your fear protects reveals what you truly care about. The journey of mastering fear is deeply personal. For some, it begins with confronting trauma. For others, it starts with small acts of courage, speaking up, saying no, trying something new. The key is not the size of the act, but the direction. Every time you move toward what you fear, you rewire your brain slightly. You teach yourself that discomfort is survivable, that anxiety can't actually kill you, and that every fear, when faced, eventually becomes smaller. Psychologists call this exposure therapy, but in truth, it's just evolution at work again. The same brain that learned to fear can learn to adapt. Each act of courage is a message to your nervous system. We are stronger than we thought. With repetition, your threshold for fear rises. You become resilient, not because the world becomes easier, but because your mind becomes steadier. You stop running from fear and start walking with it. And yet in the modern world, fear has become currency. Media, politics, and marketing all know one truth. Fear captures attention. It keeps people watching, clicking, reacting. The more fear you feel, the more predictable your behavior becomes. This is why learning to regulate fear isn't just personal, it's revolutionary. When you understand your fear, no one else can weaponize it against you. You stop being manipulated by panic and start making choices based on clarity, not survival. So the question becomes, what would your life look like without the weight of unnecessary fear? Imagine waking up with the same challenges, but without the trembling, without the hesitation. Imagine seeing rejection not as failure, but as direction. Imagine your fear not as a wall, but as a signal pointing toward growth. That's not fantasy. It's biology trained through awareness. Your brain is plastic. It changes with experience. You can literally reshape your relationship with fear. It starts small. A deep breath before a hard conversation, a moment of stillness before reacting, a choice to speak when your instinct says to stay silent. Each of these moments rewrites the script of fear. They tell your nervous system a new story, that courage is safe, that growth doesn't equal danger. The repetition of these tiny acts becomes a psychological revolution. Over time, your body learns to associate challenge with strength instead of threat, and that is the quiet alchemy of transformation. Fear will never fully disappear, and it shouldn't. Without it, we'd walk into traffic, touch fire, and trust the wrong people. But when fear becomes balanced, when it serves rather than rules, it becomes wisdom. Fear warns you, but it doesn't control you. It speaks, but it doesn't command. When you reach that point, fear stops being a barrier and becomes a guide. It shows you where life still has power over you and where you can reclaim it. The psychology of fear is, ultimately, the psychology of freedom. Because the more deeply you understand what scares you, the more clearly you understand who you are. Fear reveals your values, your attachments, your deepest longings. It's a mirror that reflects not just your limits, but your potential. When you learn to look at fear without flinching, you discover the truth hidden beneath it. That strength was never the absence of fear. It was the decision to move forward anyway. So the next time you feel afraid, pause, breathe, listen. Ask yourself what the fear is trying to protect. Then thank it and take one step forward. That's all it takes to change everything. Because fear may whisper in your ear, but courage is the voice that answers back. If this story made you see fear in a new way, don't let it end here. Hit subscribe, leave a comment about what fear you're ready to face, and share this video with someone who's still running from their own. Because understanding fear is the first step to mastering it. And here on MindDecode HQ, that's exactly what we do.